Alright, so let's start off with the basics. Clickbait and fake news. Pretty self-explanatory topics, nothing too complicated. But why are they such a problem? Well, let's take a closer look. Alright, starting with clickbait. If you've somehow managed to evade this word your entire life, then let me give you a brief definition. Basically, clickbait is anything online like articles and videos with titles or headlines whose sole purpose is to bait and grab your click and view. Pretty simple, right? Okay, first off, clickbait can come in many forms and can be found pretty much anywhere. It's also only meant to grab your attention. Its creators generally can't speak for everyone, don't care about any consequences that come as a side effect, as long as it doesn't affect them. Also, there's a whole psychological trick behind clickbait. Have you ever seen the title of something that seems so uninteresting, but the title is so well made you just have that impulse to find out more? This is why it works so well and is so hard to resist. I'd also like to add in that clickbait isn't anything new. It's been occurring for a while now, since even the 19th century. It just is more common and visible now as we see it online rather than on newspapers and other sources of media that were popular during these times. Overall, though, clickbait isn't anything too bad. Sure, it's annoying and it's a cheap method of getting views, money, or whatever you're going for, but usually it isn't too harmful. That is except for a quite common scenario when it's paired with fake news. Now, fake news is devastating on its own. If it's convincing enough, it can completely destroy anyone's reputation within a second. It can also cause terrible beliefs and stubbornness to form. I'll show an example of that in a minute. Anyways, in short, it makes people spread false information, can hurt unsuspecting and innocent people. Its danger is magnified when it's paired with clickbait as more people view it. And according to various sources, studies have even shown that about 6 out of every 10 people will share headlines and titles without even reading the actual articles. This is the problem right here. Don't see it? Here, maybe this will help. 6 out of 10 people. According to my calculations, that's 60% of people. That's over half. To put that into perspective, America has a population of approximately 330 million people. 60% of that is 198 million. 198 million people who do this. That's a lot of people. Okay, so fake news in itself is a problem. Clickbait just helps it. Here, let's go back to that whole forming beliefs and stubbornness thing. In the research for this project, I came across a TED Talk by Stephanie Busari. In it, she went into detail about a tragic event where 200 Chibok schoolgirls were kidnapped by the terrorist group called Boko Haram. This happened in April of 2014, by the way. Mothers of these girls were devastated and horrified. It sparked many people, including Michelle Obama and Malala, to advocate the problem. Now, Busari is a journalist for CNN, and she was sent to Abuja to cover the World Economic Forum, which happened to be taking place in Nigeria at the time. Let's see what happened there.
We put the government under pressure. We asked tough questions about what they were doing to bring these girls back. Understandably, they weren't too happy with our line of questioning. And let's just say we received our fair share of alternative facts.
Okay, so this is kind of expected. They want to keep a good reputation. But let's keep watching.
They also told us that the story of the Chibok girls was a hoax. Sadly, this hoax narrative has persisted, and there are still people in Nigeria today who believe that the Chibok girls were never kidnapped.
I don't know if you think the same, but that got out of hand pretty fast. The government of a nation that was just attacked and terrified by a somewhat local terrorist group, with the attack getting worldwide attention, believes the whole thing was a hoax. And on top of that, they managed to convince many people to think the same. The bigger problem is that this happened just under 5 years ago. The TED Talk was published about 2 years ago. But I'd still be willing to bet there are plenty of people, even in Nigeria, that still think the whole thing was a joke, a hoax. This is the danger of fake news and misbelief spreading. People are very quick to agree without checking their information and sources. Which leads me into the last part of this, the solutions. Now, this problem isn't fully preventable. People will keep using these tactics for as long as they want to. To explain this, I'm going to use a nice little metaphor from an article by David A. Tomar. As he put it, imagine you're a happy little fish in a big ocean, swimming around enjoying life. Then you see a strangely colored worm bobbing unnaturally just below the surface. You know that the situation isn't quite right and that the worm looks fake and possibly poisonous. But you say to yourself, the last time I ate one of these, my face was pierced by a barb-covered hook. You know what? I'm gonna eat it anyway. If you haven't caught on yet, the worm is the bait, or in this case the clickbait that we find all over the internet. While we know exactly what the bait is, we decide to click it anyway. And that's why the solution is so simple. I recently came across another TED Talk by Sally Kohn entitled, Don't Like Clickbait? Don't Click. In it she states some quite, obvious facts that you never really think about. For example, the media depends on what people view and what they'd like to view. So in reality, this problem can be very easily solved. Simply do what the title of that TED Talk says. Only click on the links and articles that you want to read. Anything else will not only not help, but will also just worsen the problem. See, simple, isn't it? Well, that's it. I thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed.